Since it is officially fall, I'm going to show you guys how to make these delicious and easy apple dumplings. Of course, the most important thing to make these things is apples. So I'm going to start off by peeling mine. You don't want to cut them more than in half. At home, we always ordered 10 bushels of apples every fall, and we would make them all into applesauce and apple filling. And then we also had 5 of our own apple trees that produced apples where we just plain ate them fresh or used some to make filling as well. And then we often made apple crisp and apple dumplings with them. Once you have them all peeled, we're going to cut them in half. This is how you know your apples are not poisonous. That thing just crawled out of the center of this apple. So I shall just wash this apple off and use it anyways, because now we know it's not too full of chemicals. I just figured out how it got in there. There's the hole that it slipped into the seed. That is very common if you have your own apple trees, but this is the first time I found a worm in a store-bought apple. We're gonna pare these. We're gonna take a spoon, or if you have an actual pear, and just dig the center out. It should leave a little hole like that in it. We're going to set our apples aside. We're gonna get a bowl, and we need to make a pastry dough. Start with your flour first. Then we go in with our baking powder. We have some salt as well. I'm just gonna mix that stuff together a little bit, and then you want to add softened butter or some shortening. I'm using butter. If any of you guys know me, you know I don't use shortening to cook. I'm just gonna chop that in there a little bit. It'll probably turn really crumbly. Then we're going to add our milk. Just mix that in gradually. The dough is supposed to be stiff. Once your dough is done, it's time to roll it out in a rectangle. You want it to be 2/3 as wide as it is long. Once you have that rolled out in a rectangle, we're going to cut it into 6 squares. Then we're going to take a small bowl and add some sugar to it. I'm going to do about 1/2 cup. Then we're going to mix some cinnamon into that sugar. Take your apples and lay one on each square with the hole turned up. And we're going to take our sugar and cinnamon mixture and fill each hole in the apple with it. And we take the dough and bring it up and wrap those apples in there like a baby. Pinch the top together a little bit so it doesn't come apart. And place it in your pan that you're going to use to bake them. I'm going to use this because this works perfect for 6 apples. Once you have those all wrapped up, you want to make sure you do the pinch side down. We're going to set this aside, and we're going to take a pot and put some brown sugar in there. Add some cinnamon to your brown sugar and some water. I'm using hot water from earlier. And we need to let this come to a boil and boil for 5 minutes. You need to whisk it a little bit so the sugar can melt. Once that is done boiling, we're going to add some butter in there. And you need to whisk that until the butter is completely melted. Once our butter is melted, we just pour this sauce over our dumplings. And I put this in a different container because I realized the other one was not going to be big enough for all this sauce. And I really want all the sauce. Then this just goes in the oven to bake. Alright, I just pulled these out of the oven. They look like they're done. And because these are best eaten hot with cold milk or ice cream, I'm going to take some out right away. And I'm going to eat mine with milk because I don't have any ice cream. This is what we're dealing with. It looks phenomenally delicious. And I always like to take some of that syrup and spoon it over it yet. This is a supper in my family. You eat this with some homemade bologna. It's delicious. It's also good with ice cream, but because I grew up eating it with milk, that's my favorite way. Let's take a bite and see if it's good. I just went to apple heaven. This is delicious. I'm sure your mouth is watering too, so if you want to make them yourself, it's under old-fashioned apple dumplings in my Amish cookbook. That cookbook is on my website, socialsbylavina.com, which is over here on my profile, or depending what platform you're on, it might be in the caption of this video. Or you can just go to your browser app, open a new tab, and type into the search bar, socialsbylavina.com, and my website will pop up. Enjoy.